Hey everyone, I'm Atafe, and if you don't know me yet, I'm a university instructor in Turkey, and I currently teach at Boğaziçi University, one of the top universities in the country. My journey to get here wasn't exactly straightforward, so in this video I'm going to share my personal experiences, how I went from teaching at language institutes to securing university positions, and how I succeeded in every single interview that I was invited to. And what key factors actually helped me along the way. So whether you're interested in teaching abroad or just curious about how to ace, job interviews, I think you'll find something valuable in this video. So let's dive in. When I first arrived in Turkey, I had no clue that I could work at universities. So like many other English instructors, I started applying to, private language institutes, and I visited multiple schools. I dropped off my CV and waited for a response. I finally got a call from an institute somewhere in in Şirinevler. For an interview. I went there and started working, full-time with a stable salary. But something that nobody had told me before I moved to, Turkey was the language barrier, which is just real. Many of my friends had told me, you don't need to worry, they speak English and they can understand you and so on and so forth. But this is far from reality, actually. In many, let's say in some places in Turkey, people cannot understand you when you speak English, especially if you have a strong accent, and you cannot communicate. So I personally struggled even with basic things like buying a bottle of water. And although my colleagues were so supportive, the administrative staff, spoke to me in Turkish all the time, and they said that you are in Turkey, you should speak our language. And I was kind of stubborn at the beginning, and I refused to, learn Turkish because I thought that this is an English language, institute, so I should speak English, and they have to speak, in English. But then later I realized that I was wrong. It was a mistake, actually. So if you move to a country to live or work in, it's really essential for you to learn the language, and it makes life much easier. Once I started learning Turkish, I saw a huge difference, like people started to become more supportive. They were so encouraging, so helpful, and they constantly told me that you're doing a good job, you're speaking well, and so on and so forth. And it was like, heartwarming. And they told me that, come on, yeah, you can teach at the university, so start applying to universities. So I started applying, to different universities, again, sending my CV and waiting for a response. For a couple of months, I worked at, multiple language institutes, often juggling, 3 jobs at once. Then, as I said, one of my colleagues told me that, I could apply for a teaching position at a university. So I started actually doing so. I started applying to different universities. However, I didn't get, any responses at first. And then I realized that I was applying at the wrong time. So I had to wait for that, particular time actually to be able to apply. So after a few months, 1 or 2, I guess, I finally got a call from Istanbul University, and I was invited for an interview. It was a nerve-wracking kind of interview process because it was my first time, being interviewed at the university. So after the interview was over, they asked me to wait outside while they made their decision. And when they called me back in, they said that I was hired, and I had to go to Floria campus, Floria campus to start the hiring process. I was incredibly happy because teaching at the university had always been my dream, and I was always thinking, okay, if one day I become a teacher, I want to be a university teacher. So that was the beginning of my journey. So after a couple of months at ID University, I think 1 or 2, I was promoted to work in, the assessment team where I helped design and review exam questions. It was a fantastic experience that helped me grow professionally. Later, the year after, I moved to Bezmi Alem University, Bezmi Alem Vakıf University, a medical university, and I worked as an ESP instructor. ESP stands for English for Specific Purposes. I taught, English courses related to medical and dental fields. During my time there, one of my colleagues, again Turkish, one of my Turkish colleagues introduced me to a prestigious university that offered excellent salaries and benefits. However, getting hired, there was not that easy. At the time, most of their instructors were either native speakers or native-like speakers, and competition was fierce. So they were hiring, if I'm not wrong, only 7 or 8 new lecturers that year, and I was shortlisted. By the end of this video, I'll let you know what the secrets were. The hiring process took several months, and every couple of weeks they sent me an email saying that you're still among the top candidates, but we need to complete all interviews before making a final decision. I could understand completely, but it was a stressful time. Working there was a great experience, and I collaborated with many people from different nationalities and worked under a British director. That was also great. It was a great experience. During my time there, I was also promoted to assessment coordinator and line manager, which added, a lot of valuable experience to my resume. After 5 years of working there, I decided it was time for a change, and I wanted to work at one of the top universities in Turkey. That's when I applied to Boğaziçi University. And unlike my previous, applications, this time I received a quick response after the interview that I was accepted. At MEF, the interview took like 55 minutes, which was actually a good sign. At Boğaziçi University, it took like around 20 minutes. So teaching at a university in Turkey has been a very different experience compared to Iran and India. One of the main differences is the student-teacher relationship. In Iran and specifically in India, there is a very, formal dynamic where students maintain a very strong, sense of hierarchy and respect for teachers and professors. However, in Turkey, things are a little bit more casual. Teachers and students, build and develop closer relationships, and sometimes they go out of the class for coffee and tea. Meet out of the class for coffee and tea, and they are kind of closer in a sense. If you're considering teaching in Turkey, my biggest advice is never underestimate yourself. At the beginning, I doubted myself a lot. I used to think that, is it really possible to get into a university, to get a university job? Can I actually adapt to working in a foreign country? But every time I took a step forward, I saw results. The key is to believe in yourself, trust your qualities, and work on improving your skills. Looking back, I realized that every challenge I faced only helped me grow. And eventually, step by step, I reached a university that many people dream of working at. Now, my top tips for job interviews. The first one is do your research about the institutions and their teaching methods. I remember when I was actually applying to MEF University, I found out that they were using flipped learning system, which was completely new at that time. And I had to do a lot of research and reading about it, and I did. And I went to the interview and I realized that I was kind of right, because they asked me a lot of questions about the system. They wanted to know whether I knew about the system or I had worked, with this system. So it's very important, guys, to know where you are going and what they are doing there. Be prepared. for any question related to their teaching system. The second is walk in with confidence. Show that you are just you're more than just a teacher, and highlight your other skills. Another tip is be enthusiastic, warm, approachable. It makes a huge difference. And never give up. Every step you take, even rejections, bring you closer to success. And this is for sure. And finally, I repeat myself, don't underestimate yourself.